Good afternoon. This is Chad. Today we are going to be discussing who you really are. Do you have that problem? You have the problem where you keep asking yourself, who am I? What am I? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? And so I want to discuss this very thing because it's an issue that a lot of people have. I had this very same issue. We all go through it. You are not alone. Trust me, you're not alone in any of this. So before we get started, I like, subscribe, share this, and make a comment. And let me know about yourself. I mean, are you struggling, trying to figure out who you are? You can also support me by going to thebillcrusher.com/Chad Allen, and you can see my links there, and you can support me that way. Okay, so who you are? What is your identity? What is it? Why are you put here on Earth, and what are you supposed to do? So these are questions. These are identity questions that we all go through. And I was reading a post from a good friend, Kyle, and he's talking about, don't be afraid of your unauthentic self, because being your authentic self is your key, one of your keys to being able to figure out what you are here for, why you're here, etc. Which I totally agree. But then there was a comment below that says, well, I really don't know who I am. And this is the epitome of what a lot of people are going through. They're going through this idea of, I don't know who I am. And so what happens is they jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to try to find that purpose, in their particular life. I've done this myself. I know a lot of other people have done it. And at the end of the day, when you do find who you are, then you become secure in who you are, and then you're able to focus on just the things that you are called on earth to do. So I want to share with you a little bit of my own personal journey, why I'm here, and how I found myself and my purpose. And then I want to give you some ideas of how you can actually get that done, in your own life. So, have you? So my journey began. I was like, it was like I kept going through different businesses, stuff like that. I always knew that I'm called to do to do business. It's just who I am. It's what I am. I grew up in business. I grew up with my dad. Going to different car dealerships and repairing car seats, fixing those windshields and whatnot. So I grew up as a business owner. But then, back in 2012 or 2010, I got the urge of wanting to do something medical, and so I went to school and I went to become a registered nurse, and I actually achieved that. I achieved that. I became a registered nurse, and it was fun for a while, but it wasn't me. It wasn't who I was. I loved medical. I loved these things, but my motive of wanting to become a registered nurse wasn't in the purest sense, because I never really wanted to be the person that would be working for somebody else. And so, even though I loved helping other people and it felt great to help other people, it wasn't who I really, really was and what God was really calling me to do. And yes, I even got my master's degree in nursing. Can you believe that? I got my master's degree, a master's in nursing informatics, which deals with computers and whatnot. But it wasn't who I was. It wasn't me. It wasn't. I felt entrapped, and I felt like that. It felt all wrong. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to push myself to do something that I wasn't really going to enjoy, and I got it anyway. And I got myself into $45,000 of debt in student loan debt just because of that. Now, do I regret it? No, I don't regret it. Why? Because I got value out of that. I learned, quite a bit from all of that. But what I did learn from all of that is that being a nurse and working for somebody else was not my calling. It's not my who God is wanting me to be. And as time went on, I got married. I got remarried again after the death of my first wife. And I lived in the Philippines for 2.5 years. I got remarried, and now I got two more kids. And I'm looking at my kids one day, and I'm thinking to myself like, nothing has really took off. Nothing has really happened for me, and I blame myself for a lot of that because there's a lot that was going on within me that was keeping me back. And so it wasn't until I went to the bookshelf and I saw a book called Bat Baraka. And I started reading that, and I was like, I have a resurgence of, and I started getting a lot of joy. I was like, yeah, this is it right here. And I talked about being a culture of blessing, about releasing your children into their manhood, into their womanhood, and I looked at this, and I was thinking to myself, and I was like, oh my goodness, my this is part of who I am. This is what I am. I'm my calling from God is to help people get get past their past and help them into a road of recovery to finding out who they are, what their identity is, and why it is important to have a culture of blessing. And so I soon realized that after digging even more deep, and I've been through all this stuff before, but it wasn't until like that moment that I really began to grasp totally of who I really was. Before I had a glimpse of it, and I was like, wow, this is great. But it was also during a time where my first wife was sick with breast cancer. And it was a time where she died of breast cancer. And while I was open to that particular idea and that understanding, I wasn't quite ready to realize my full purpose in life because it was a seed being planted and watered until the time that this recent time of figuring out what my purpose was as a family man and as a person. It wasn't until that particular time when I read the book Baraka that I realized that everything in the past from the 2016, 2017, when I was learning about all the stuff before, it was then it finally came into me and it started to manifest more and more, and I began to realize, oh my goodness, this is who I really am. This is what God is calling me to do. And so I began to learn more and more and more. And see, what I realized was that it's not about you. We do not pursue money. We're not pursuing things in our life because if you're a Christian, you know that God is the one who provides all that stuff. It doesn't matter, if you don't have a lot of money. God is going to provide all of that stuff for you because He is the provider, right? But the catch is you have to go out and work, right? Because how can God bless you if you're not willing to step out in faith to allow Him to bless you? So we need to find. So after all of that, I realized this is who I am. This is what I need to do, and I need to step out in faith. Not worry about the money. Not worry about the businesses that I have. Let God take care of that. As long as I'm stepping out in faith and doing God's calling for myself and to others and for my family, then I know that God will provide because the work that I do for my businesses, the work I do for the kingdom side of things, is all going to come together, and God will provide the most abundant. Right? That's what it is. So I want to give you a little bit of your family purpose. So if you're a family man or a family woman, you're married, you got kids and whatnot. I want to give you a little bit of what your purpose is because I truly believe this is your purpose as a family. Okay, number one, your purpose as a family is to provide of course, for your family and children, but it's to provide for your children an inheritance, and you need, and then as you provide and build up that inheritance for your children, you also need to be able to provide an inheritance for their children. So one of the things that I've come to realize in my own uh, way, in my own self, is that want to be able to provide a house for each of my children, especially as they get married, because I don't want them to be in debt. I don't want them to have all of that debt, that they're in, and not and they be like stuck the rest of their lives. So I want to be able to provide a house for them and set up. And one of the ideas is like to set up a trust fund and have that trust fund built up, and then allow them. So when they decide to they get married, they want to get a house, they can take that money out of the trust fund and use it to build and buy their own house and not be in debt with the house. But then tell them and say, hey, listen, if you want to provide for your children, what you need to do is pay that money back to the trust fund. It's all interest free. It's not, it doesn't really, it's like, so you're paying all back. And then that way, the future generation from there are having the ability to buy their own house without going into mortgage debt. Because we all know what mortgage means. It means death tax. It's like a death tax, right? So, as a family person, your purpose is to provide an inheritance for your children and for your children's children. Okay? So, that gives me personally, when I figured all this out on my own, not on my own, but I figured all this out, by listening to videos, watching, listening to audio, reading books, and then allowing God to have that revelation through me to reveal. Then I found then through all of that, the revelation of saying, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to set up something for tithe. I need to set up something for offering. I need to set up something for investments. I need to set up something for savings. I need to set up something for that's going to be my spending account that takes care of all the taxes, all of the expenses that are there. And so it was one way that I could start building. Not only to secure my wife and I future, but also to secure my kids' future. So as a family person, you are going after uh, your children is basically your reason why you are doing what you're doing, and because you're not working for yourself per se, you're working for them to secure the future, and you're teaching them the things that that need to be taught, so they can not be uh, strapped by life. You're creating a culture of blessing for them as well. Now, as an individual, that you're not married, but as an individual, how do you figure out what your purpose is, what your drive is, and what you actually need to do as far as your calling? Because it's harder to figure out what your calling is when you are single if you are not in Christ. When you're in Christ, it's a little bit easier to figure out. Now, I want to say this, okay? So, I gave you a little bit of a glimpse of what um, I believe your purpose is as a family dad, as a family man, like or woman. Your husband, your wife, your um, you know, mom, dad, whatever. That's what it is. But what I really did get into is figuring out on the individual level, what that purpose and that vision is, for you and those who you believe that you're going to be able to help and stuff like that. And the thing is, you have to remember, if you're, and I'm speaking as a Christian here, okay? You have your identity that God has given you. Okay, God has given you an identity. He says that you are worthy, you are masterful, you are made with love, you are wanted, and I have a purpose for you, and this is what I would want you to. This is what I want you to do, because I know what I give you will not only allow you to prosper, will not only bless you, but it will also bless mankind in general. Because a purpose is really one that is going to bless others. Okay, so you're putting others before you, and then because of that, more is coming back for you. Now, what Satan says is this: you are not worthy, you are pathetic, you shouldn't be living, you should die. Why would you? Why you don't deserve you don't deserve to have all of this. You don't deserve abundance. You don't deserve this. You don't deserve that. You're hated. You are poor. You are disgusting. That is Satan. That is Satan destroying your identity. And God doesn't destroy your identity. It's Satan that's destroying your identity. And he's telling you all these things. He's putting in your heart, in your mind, in your heart. He's planting an image in your heart. And he's telling you that you are not worthy. That is Satan. That is the devil telling you you are not worthy. What would God ever say? You are not worthy. He says you are worthy. You are loved. I have a purpose for you. You are blessed. And you are meant for something amazing. And so your purpose is are what you are enjoying, right? It's like part of your purpose is what God is giving you inside your heart and mind, the image that is implanted in your heart, the mind, and it's saying that I really enjoy doing this. I really believe in this. I really believe that, you know, I am supposed to be helping the orphans. I believe I am supposed to be helping the hungry. I believe I am supposed to be helping the homeless on the streets. I believe that God has called me to to have a business, and through that business, I am supposed to help those in need of, maybe the Boys and Girls Club or something like that. There's something that God is calling me to do because He put it in my heart that really believe. But I know that God did not call me to be a preacher. I know that God did not call me to be a pastor. I know that I have no desire of being an evangelist or whatever. I'm not someone who is going to go out into the mission field because it's not who I am. I don't do that. But God did call me for a business. God did call me to be a pilot. God did call me to be a nurse, a doctor, a school teacher. And through all of these things, you have this desire in your heart and mind, and it becomes starting to become clear. So as it becomes clear, you begin to align yourself more with God's uh, purpose for you, and then things start to break through for you. So I hope you got a lot out of this. If you did, please like and share the content. Comment below. I mean, let me know uh, what it is that you liked most about what you just heard, and share your story about your identity and your purpose and how you found your identity and purpose. And if you haven't found your identity purpose, share how this video has helped you to achieve what you uh, wanting to achieve. And like always, you can definitely support me by going to thebillcrusher.com/Chad Allen, and there you can see my links and what I like to do and how I make money, and you can go there and you can support me that way, and I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions about any of that, let me know, and I will definitely get back with you as far as that. And if you have questions you want to just about the video, please respond. Please message me, in through Facebook Messenger and or through just message me through YouTube, whatever it is that how you want to communicate. I am here for you. And if you're on the podcast, seek me out. My information is there as well. And I'm really glad that I was able to have this conversation with you and to share a little bit about my story and to share with you how you can find your purpose in your life. And I thank you, and you have an awesome, awesome rest of your day. Take care. Bye bye.